What's up, Fire fam? My name's Kiahonfire and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Today we will be doing an update video for Testlive Update 2.5. So this is stuff coming to the main game that you have to look forward to or prepare for. Now this update is absolutely huge. It has a lot of changes in it. We have things from small animal pens coming to the game to things that were like in modded sessions, like having sheathed weapons on your back and having a UI overhaul as well, by having the stats of your health and your stamina finally being an option that you can reveal, and your enemies' HP you can also have a look at now. All sorts of things like that, to weapon nerfs and complete overhauls or buffs. There's a ton of different things in this patch, so let's take a look at it. So first things first, let's have a look at the new things added, such as animations and the new small animal pen. So they pretty much chopped this in half and they've added a smaller pen. Not exactly small in regards, but I believe that's probably the maximum of height they could go anyway, since they want to fit like rhinos in here and stuff like that. And that's what you can fit into this animal pen. It only takes one pet in here, so you can only put one in at a time, a single use one. But I gotta say, I probably much prefer placing several of these down than the big one, and I think this is a much appreciated change for the animal pens. Let me know what you think. Another thing is the display of sheathed weapons. Now this doesn't really work for everything right now, but I'm hoping they will add more in the future. So as in these new knives they have in, there's a new addition with these, but they don't quite display yet. But you can display other things in the game like these. I'm hoping you'll be able to display everything from tools to weapons, maybe not just the weapons. And you can see the new katana stance right there just now. You only seem to be able to put one thing at a time on your back from the looks of it, but that's still a major improvement, and I really like how you'll be able to see your really nice weapon on your back now and be able to admire it instead of just like popping it up your prison wallet, you know, kind of things like that. So it's a much nice change. I do like it, makes it more immersive. Another major change I noticed was the health and stamina bar. You're probably going to see this right now on me right now. You can see I have 399. Before that wouldn't show you the stats, and you can actually toggle these things now. So if we head over to our settings and into gameplay and we go all the way down the bottom, they have all these new options. So they have HUD, show your bar values, so that's your HP and your stam. Then you have your show health values thralls, so you can see the health of your thrall without having to go into its inventory. And then you have the show health value of NPCs, and then always show health bars. And you have a maximum range, you can see health bars as well, and different colours for clan members. And you have an option to show sheathed weapons or not as well, if that's something you want to have in there. And I really like these options, how they are. You can turn them on and off. I'm going to have them on. They're really good. I do like this a lot. I hope they customize the UI a little bit more in the future, because being able to see the numbers and the stats is always something very important to me, instead of just seeing like the art levels in that one. It's way more helpful to be able to see what's going on with your character and stuff when you have numbers. And if you didn't like numbers, then of course you always have the other option. But at the moment it's highly catered for image and not so much numerical numbers that you can see on your screen. As we see with this deer, actually, like I talked about, you'll be able to see the HP of a deer now that I've come up to it. Before, you wouldn't be able to see this HP bar pop up. So if you want this pop-up, you're going to have to toggle it yourself in your own options, and if you don't, you can always leave it off for an immersive RP experience. But I very much like this. I'm hoping maybe damage numbers may be an option as well for a later date, but we'll see. Maybe that's a little bit too MMO-ish for them, but I definitely do like seeing the damage things do when you hit them. It's a very nice, convenient thing to have. Now, mods express, but not so much the main game. Apart from that, they've done a ton of optimizations in this patch. There's so many different bug fixes in this one, it's hard to read them all. The other thing I did notice while I was scrolling along though, which I was a little bit surprised to see, was balance updates. So we have things like two-handed hammers have received a balance pass, pikes, two-handed swords. They've also changed great axes completely, and they've also changed katanas completely. And they've also made claw weapons in earlier games, so they're not just things you get from legendary sources. You can get them early on, same with the little punchy daggers as well, that also have a new kind of animation and stuff on them. That's completely new. Instead of them just being a reskin for the daggers, they have their own thing now, and there's a bunch of buffs and stuff. So like the Penetrator has received a bump in base damage from 2 to 16, Epic Free from 24, and they've received buffs like that. They've also made healing potions slightly different again, as in they've added a reduction for crafting time on bandages and healing potions. However, I also noticed they took the bleed out of the healing potions. So if you use a healing potion in the previous patch, it would like, if you're bleeding, it would heal that bleed. But now it doesn't do that. So you need to use a wrap to heal your bleed, and you cannot use a potion anymore. But they've pretty much reduced the basic potion crafting time by 10 seconds, and all the other potions have been reduced to 20 seconds. So that's pretty good. We did need a nice change on that one, because potions and such in your inventory took absolutely ages to make, and you'd just be sitting there with a bunch of aloe in your inventory early game, just crafting all of these aloe potions, or just if you needed a quick aloe pot. There was nothing quick about it. Apparently with healing pots as well, the healing buff is now removed when non-bleed damage is received. So essentially, non-bleed damage, you should be able to still heal through bleed damage, is what I'm seeing here and understanding. But anyway, let's get into the weapon changes, because these are actually really important, because some of these weapons are changed completely. They don't work like how they used to. Some in a bad way, some in a good way. There's one I don't particularly like myself, but I think I have to play with it a little bit more, because I probably don't like it because I'm not used to it, is probably the thing here. But anyway, two-handed hammers have received a balanced pass, increased base penetration values by roughly 42%, and reduced stamina cost of heavy attacks by 20%, increased the base damage values by 16%, and increased the combo damage multiplier of the second to last heavy hit in the heavy attack chain. So, you're doing more damage, you're eating less stamina, and you're doing more penetration. So it's had an absolutely big buff here for the hammers. So it's going to be pretty nasty. People are going to come up on you with the hammers maybe a little bit more often now. And they've also changed pikes. So pikes have received a balanced pass. Reduced stamina cost of light attacks by 15%. Reduced stamina costs of heavy attacks by 25%. And improved the timing of the final light attack hit's movement cancellation. You can now move after this attack at the same point you could attack again. So you'll be able to basically dodge out the way a little bit faster. Now, two-handed swords have received a balanced pass. Increased hyper armor coverage for light attacks to extend to the point of being able to transition into a new attack, and reduce the recovery time for the final attack in the light attack chain. So things are a little bit faster now. Great axes have had a major overhaul, so they've changed completely in how they work. They have scrapped the spin to win Beyblade now. It's completely different now. They have a fast light attack chain that can be chained endlessly. These attacks use quick jabs and strikes, as you'll be able to see on screen, but they will deal less damage than they would on the heavy attacks. And these slow and wide sweeping heavy attacks can bypass blocking. Now, if you hold down this special attack key, this will allow you to block incoming attacks also within using this weapon. And some weapons actually keep the old moveset, such as the Void Forge, Great Axe, Trollbane, Ripping Great Axe, the Beak, and Scythe of Fag. They keep their old sets. Everything else will get a new animation, so there you go. They've also overhauled the katanas in a way. This is probably the one I don't particularly like very much, but it's again something I probably have to get used to myself. They've added a new quick light attack chain of horizontal attacks, allowing easier crowd control with the katana, and they've added a new heavy attack set that is slower and more powerful. Move the existing charge up dash attack to the special attack button, so you'll still be able to do it, but you won't be able to do it the same way you did before. And I don't know if I like it that much. It's a little weird, like the animations to me seem a little bit more clunky than they were previously, which is a little bit odd. Let me know what you guys think anyway about the katana changes. It's a little weird. I feel like you're trying to do like the Conan Barbarian thing, where you have the sword above the head and that's what it is. But it seems like a little strange for me for a katana. I don't know. It's really weird. But anyway, next point in focus. Claw weapons have received a major overhaul, so they're completely different. Before, these claw weapons you could get were completely broken because you could just shred into people without much interruption in your animation. They were really crazy because you moved really quickly. And now this is completely changed and you won't be able to do that anymore. So light attacks are fast and can be chained infinitely, but if they are blocked you will be vulnerable for longer than usual. So if you're blocked you'll be in a stun effect. Heavy attacks are slower and reply bleed effects, so you'll have a slow, but you'll have the bleed, and the final heavy strike is very powerful, but it's only accessed by doing the attacks in a row, so you have to get that combination. Special attack is a quick, free hit combo that cannot be interrupted by blocking defender. Light and heavy attacks can combo into this strike, so this is something you can go without getting blocked in, which is quite nice. And that's pretty much it for the claw weapons. So there's a change in that one. And I believe the knife hands also work the same. They added a bunch of different knife hands. So you have the steel punching daggers in the game. You get claws, iron punching daggers, and other stuff. So you would be able to get these through legendary purposes before, and now you can get them in general. So we'll take a quick look here. We can see under Skirmisher, you can see bone claws is now a thing that you can make. And these punching daggers is also a thing you can make throughout the level. So if you do like this new kind of weapon animation, these are technically claws as well. Well, you can go ahead and use these and this will be the new way to do it. Something else they've added as well is they've made fish and fish traps have a bigger spawn timer. And apparently they're easier to place now. As you can see before, I probably would have had a really big issue trying to place this fish trap in water. They were really awkward and clunky, but now they've made it a little easier to place in the water again, which I'm really thankful for, because before it was very annoying having a massive pool of water which wouldn't accept a fish trap, but it would accept the fish trap, say, up on land like this, and it would be really weird. Something big changed as well that will probably matter for PvP is reduced duration of knockdown effect applied by horses ramming into players. It was 2.5 seconds, but now it's 1.5 seconds, so you're missing out on a second really there. And what else do we have? We have humanoid NPCs, including thralls, will now gain a temporary immunity to weapon hit stagger effects after being affected by them for extended periods of time. So I assume this will be a thing where if you're going to knock out a thrall and you're hitting it with the truncheon, perhaps you got it stuck in a corner, that it will now whack back a little bit more than it used to, because it won't be, it can't be immune to these kind of things, and it's gonna hit back a lot more. So that might be a little bit annoying, but we will have to see. Also, something they did was something I actually really like. You can see a little arrow here. This is not mods, by the way. This is in-game. Outer face or the inner face is gonna matter more with walls, so it's gonna point which direction is the inner and outer face. I could probably do with the arrow being a little bit higher near the inner and outer face place, but it's pretty handy being able to have an arrow to point where the building place goes. This patch feels like it replicates a lot of really really mods, which is really funny and weird in the same time. But I'm glad they're using something that people like, that's very popular, and they're adding it to the main game so everybody can enjoy it. They also added a change to the admin panel as well, if that matters to you. So before, you used to be able to do this key combination to be able to have no building costs, and you could build to your heart's content. Now they just have a thing where you just tick it, no building costs, so you can build to your heart's content instead of just keep going into the menu and respawning yourself a bunch of stuff. You don't have to do it anymore. It's just as easy as a tick box. So that is, really nice that they've added that back in. So that's a really nice addition. They also fixed an issue where the Shadow Out of Time achievement would not unlock with certain items that require Elder Realm to craft, so that is another thing that has been fixed. I don't see no word on the other achievements being fixed though yet. There's a couple right now that's actually unachievable as far as I know from reports and my own testing. If you didn't see as well, they added a character copy or server transfer for co-op and single player. So copy character will replace existing characters from these players in target database. This process is irreversible. Building and followers owned by old characters will be inherited by the copy characters. Copy characters will not be deleted from current save file. Then you can pick a destination and select characters to copy. Copy only host character, or copy all players' characters, and then you copy, and you can move it to a different world and use it that way. So So it's only for co-op or single player so far as I realise. I'm hoping they do server transfers at some point. But at the moment it's called character copy, and that's a thing that is in single player. But this is apparently only a thing that it had a bug. It will now actually copy your attribute points correctly when transferring back and forth quickly, and that was a problem. But if you didn't realise there was server transfer, you can do that. But remember, it's not really multiplayer transfer that you can do. Also, auto-equip should now work if you harvest your corpse first and try to loot the bag that appears afterwards. There was a problem with that, and that should be fixed now. They also fixed a really annoying issue that was a really big one, where the sandstorm would appear invisible but still deal damage. So that's apparently a bug they have fixed in Testlive. They also fixed a number of situations where the player is kicked out of climbing while climbing a valid surface. You know, when you're trying to climb up something and it just kicks you off randomly? Well, that's something that's been fixed apparently. Something I'm also stoked to see is, if you didn't know, there was a loot chest thing where you'd loot a chest but the inventory was invisible unless you left it and came back into it. They've apparently now fixed that on their end, which is something that's really awesome. So they fixed that up and you'll be able to view the contents now apparently. Also, something that's nice is they've added obsidian nodes to the lava areas in the Isle of Sipta. Apparently also, before I forget, they added more alternatives to your black ice set, so frost smithing. So you can now have arrows, great swords and other great things in here, so you're not only stuck to a few weapon choices, you have a lot more choices now. And if we have a quick look at some of these, actually really nice. I like how this displays on the back. Let's have a look at the arrow as well in here. Oh, apparently you can't see it right now, so never mind. That's a problem on their side. Let's ignore that for now. Let's have a look at the shield. It actually represents the other shield they have on Sipta, but it's a little bit different. The ice would have been red on the other one, but this one is not so much. And I think they've just copied one of the axe designs off another axe design for the war axe. But it's still very nice, and it seems to go on the back as well, the shield. So you look like you have that back protection with the shield on the back. That would be actually really cool if it did count if your back was protected with the shield on the back. But I doubt they would add something like that. But it would be awesome at the same time. So, very cool. A couple of things stacked on there. Very, very nice. And a bunch of other fixes, but this is pretty much the most important things I've told you about today that you would have needed to know about that could be useful for when it comes to the actual official game. Remember, this is Testlive at the moment, so things could still change, but at the moment these things are pretty solid. There's some really good fixes in here that have been needed for a very long time, so I definitely look forward to this load of stuff coming in. Oh, also, trebuchets can no longer be built and operated from inside a roofed structure, so they have to be out in the open. So there is that. But anyway, there's some really good information there for you to know. There's a bunch of other fixes that you could definitely check out down below as well. You should be able to also see anything in detail in there as well. It should be in the description, so there you go. If you have any questions, of course, you can always ask me in the comments down below. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!